Shabbos, everyone. Gonna sing with me tonight? Hi, Gary. Good Shabbos. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam, yai da 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 da, bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, yai da 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 da, bim bam, bim 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 bam,
bim, 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 bim.
bam. Having a problem getting warm right now. We define ourselves as a community, so for those online, good Shabbos as well. And for those here in the sanctuary, let's warm it up by meeting the people we're sitting around and wishing each other a good Shabbos and making our community on this eve
Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Shevet achim gam yachad.
We bring light into our world. We bring warmth into our lives as we kindle the Shabbos candles, reminding ourselves of that reality. As I was getting ready to leave at 5:45 and I realized it was still light outside. It's amazing how the shortest days of the year have such an impact, and we yearn for longer days. And we know January, every day gets a little longer. And so we have that reminder, though, that each of us brings warmth, brings light into each other's lives. As we create this community on this brisk eve, so do we make more light, more goodness, more warmth as we sing the blessings with the cantor. And as we've done for, these past 3.5 months, so do we light this extra candle for those still held hostage, those who are in Gaza who don't have the privilege, the opportunity to make Shabbat, those that we link ourselves with, our brothers, our sisters, our family, in a sense, connecting, reminding ourselves of that as well every day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mi
So as we begin Shabbat, maybe we look at those flames, maybe we just breathe deep for a moment and give ourselves pause and the blessing of bringing ourselves to this moment, the calm that we create together, but as individuals as well. And so I ask, if you're so comfortable, you like to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Breathe in God's gift to each and every one of us. Breathe out our gift to the world, our blessings. The reality that we experience in being a part of Shabbat is being a part of something bigger than ourselves, something greater than ourselves, individuals. Maybe we come with someone else, maybe we come by ourselves, but the idea that anywhere in the world we find a Jew welcoming Shabbat. And our prayers are often the same. Not the rubric of prayers that we say, but the thoughts that we have, that we hope for, the peace we need in our world, the identity we feel, the worries that concern us, but the pride that we have in being a part of something that is enduring. Despite the anti-Semitism that is rearing its ugly head once again, that we're here. We're here proudly. We're here knowing that we bring something unique, something good, something special, something into our world as our parents, our grandparents, as those who we've inherited a tradition from and that we pass along to for future generations. It's why Echad Ha'am taught that more than we as a people make this day Shabbat, Shabbat has made us a people. It's connected us so that we know we're not alone. My friends, in Israel, every time someone arrives, someone comes, someone reaches out, they say, it's good not to be alone because the world makes us feel alone at times. But by being a part of a greater Jewish community, we know we're in this together. And in that we find our blessings. So as you think of this past week, think of those blessings, the connections with others, the friendship you've experienced, the love you felt, the memories that have come to mind, moments that have made you smile, the values that we hold on to. It's hard to do that in a difficult world. It's hard to allow ourselves to feel that joy. But we're commanded to do so. There's a tradition in the Talmud, a law actually, it says if a funeral and a wedding processional should meet at a crossroads, the funeral has to wait. The wedding has to proceed and take precedence. I know it's a strange metaphor for our lives, but the idea of it is that even in the midst of darkness, we find light. We find things that can still make us smile and bring us hope and lift us up. And that's why, as a people, we're still here. And that's why, as a people, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, generations long into the future will feel that as well. So with those prayers, with those thoughts, with those ideas, so do we join together in our prayers. And of course, being a CAYA service, you can always use the prayer book if you'd like and follow along with that. And so you can open that up, or you can just hum along or sing along or join along or sleep if you need. God bless you. And so with that in mind, we can rise together for our call to worship.
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Brief story about our congregation in connection to our prayers ties in together, or you can tell me later if maybe not. It's a luxury we have at these moments. We have 4 core values that we hold on to that are part of who we are, and one of them is that we dream big. And I think it's something in society we might aspire to, but what is it to dream big, to like go for it, to understand what can be beyond our sense of what we can accomplish? But we like to think that we have that ability, and we say in our faith that we're created in the image of God. But B'Tselem Elohim, the first chapter of Torah says, when God created humanity, God made man and woman, B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image. So why do we dream big? In this week's Torah portion, in Parashat Bo, we learn of the plagues, the ending of the plagues, and Moses going to Pharaoh and saying, let my people go, and with each of the plagues. And I was thinking, as I was preparing for Shabbat, about each of those plagues. And God had an incredible imagination. God dreamed big. I mean, where do you come up with this? Let's start with frogs, blood, vermin. I mean, it's like where, and God dreamed big and like wanted to make, and each one, because the first few Pharaoh's sorcerers could figure out as well and do too. And so, and the idea of that example that we can use our imagination for what we do in our lives. It's part of our DNA. It's part of who we are created to be, to dream big, to realize, some might try to hold us back and expect certain things, but we have so much potential, each of us, within. And I think the prayer Hashkivenu is reminding us of that. It's hard to quiet our minds and to fall asleep. Maybe if we go so much in a day, we don't quiet our minds, but we still just fall asleep at night. But we wake up with all these ideas that are running through them. We dream big all the time. And maybe the prayer is saying, I just want those dreams, those big ideas to carry tomorrow as well. I want them still to be a part of who I am. To make sure I don't let go of what I aspire to for myself, for people in my world, my life, for my community, for what we want to do. So I love this idea in our Torah portion in Parashat Bo, the example of God dreaming big. I love that it's part of who we are. And I love that we even have a prayer that says, let us lie down in peace, God, and permit us to wake up in the security of knowing that we are safe and loved. Because if I'm safe and loved, then I can dream big tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And yes, when I dream big the next day, that means the Lions will be in the next level of the playoffs too. Just connecting everything together. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu
As we move into the central prayers of our worship, the Amidah, the Avot, and the Atagibor, we think about those who had those first relationships with God in Torah of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Leah and Rachel. I always wonder, like if we had a chance to meet people in our tradition, have a cup of coffee together, or a whiskey, what the conversation might turn to. Like, were they aware of what they were creating in our world? You know, it's interesting, I mentioned the plagues and the Israelites and Moses. We only know of Moses from our Torah and things in our tradition afterwards, but no other contemporaneous mention of a man named Moshe. His name is actually Egyptian, but it's not that he didn't exist. I'm not suggesting that. It's just that no other traditions mention a man named Moses of that time period. But, you know, we find archaeological things that link us potentially in the land of Israel to Abraham, to Isaac, to Sarah. The idea of Machpelah, where they are buried, the caves of Machpelah, the land in Hebron, the same city that Abraham purchases land and goes to. Do they know they were creating something that we would still hold on to? Or was it just about their tribe, their family? I wonder what we create in our lives too. And maybe that's, again, the idea of dreaming big. I wonder what we have the potential that will exist when none of us are here. What will people say, not with our names, but the traditions that are a part of a people beyond us? That's, I think, the power of humanity. That's the beauty of our connections. And that's often what I think of as I pray the Amidah. The idea that, again, I'm not alone in this world, but I come not just as a community, but I come from a tradition of those who have been before us, those who have given us that as well. We rise together for the Amidah, our central prayers of worship.
Adonai Tzuri, Ego Ali. מתי תפתחו פי יגיד תהילתך. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, ve'Elohei Rachel. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Koneh HaKol, Ve'Zocher Chastei Avot ve'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo ve'Yahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umkayem emunato, Lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umchaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Our thoughts, our prayers turn to our friends, our family, and those in Israel, linking ourselves with the state of Israel at this time, as we've done these past 14 weeks. First, we add to our prayers that for the state of Israel, Avinu Shebashamayim Sor Yisrael, V'go Alo Be'arech et Medinat Yisrael, Rock of Israel, our salvation. Bless the state of Israel, first fruit of the flourishing of our redemption. Guard her in the abundance of your love. Spread over her the shelter of your peace. Send forth your light and truth to those who lead and judge her, that they may walk in the way of justice, freedom, and integrity. Strengthen the hands of those who guard our holy land, and let them soon inherit salvation and life. Give peace to the land, continuous joy to her inhabitants, and soon fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Let them learn no longer the ways of war. And let us say, Amen. Amen. And a prayer for the soldiers of Israel. Mishiberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel. Hu yivarech et chayalei tzeva Haganah Yisrael. Merciful God, who's blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces who stand guard over our homeland, Israel, on land, in the air, and on the sea. May the source of strength preserve and rescue our soldiers from every trouble and distress, from every plague and illness. May God send blessings and success in their every endeavor. May God bless our soldiers with wisdom, understanding, and insight. May God grant them salvation and crown them with victory. And let us say, Amen. A prayer for those who are still held captive, for the hostages in Gaza. Achenu kol Beit Yisrael. God, be merciful to our fellow Jews who wander over sea or land, who suffer captivity and persecution and imprisonment. May God soon bring them relief from distress and deliver them from darkness into light, from subjugation to redemption, and let us say, Amen. And our prayers now turn to those in our own community, friends, and family we think of at this time with the words of Mishaberach. As we walk around with the Torah, we reach out, we touch it, we mention names out loud of those who we're thinking of, and linking ourselves with Torah, reminding ourselves it's not just a source of wisdom and knowledge and learning, but also a source of hope for us and for all. Please rise.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Merciful God, who has blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, send your blessings to our loved ones stricken with illness, anxiety, friends we think of at this time. Alyssa Otto and Amy Drysdale Adler, Carol Berg, Michael Brody, Chris Burke, Karen Kasman, Alan Castle, Patty Seresny, Michael Eisen, Ann Gotro, Richard Gotro, Batia Batmesha Panina, Yankel David Ben Aryalev Pasha, Eva Haber Kornholm, Taya Hall, Donna Marie Hock, Chana Batsara, Leon Klein, Scott Klein, Chaya Aviva Batfekola, Karen Coltono, Marta Lazar, Alan Lieberman, Gertrude Levin, David Levy, Alan Lippett, Zoe Marcus, Gary Bernard Martin, Len Miji, Barak Ben Avram Belashira, Gail Mintz, Marla Mostyn, Rezo Batlea Miriam, Carolyn Peterson, Eileen Porcelli, Rachel Beit Chaim Bachava, Mary Rasmussen, Ray Reef, Marcy Fisher-Reiners, Leslie Riggs, Laura Rosso, the St. Amand family, Stephen Siegel, Roberta Sanino, Susanna Stern, Eric Stone, Len Turman, Karen Thompson, Stuart Thompson, Ed Wade, David Weissman, as well as all the names in our hearts. We think of the over 6,000 Israeli soldiers physically injured since October 7th, the terrorist attack, all those in Israel and throughout the world emotionally hurting and in need. Baruch atah Adonai Rapha Cholim. Bless you, God, and give strength to those in need.
So
mystics teach us that the Kaddish has different meanings every time it's recited. In their minds, it's a prayer that links earth to heaven and bridges the chasm between the living and the dead. The Kaddish is the assurance the soul is enduring, the human spirit is indestructible. It's a prayer that permits a child to remember a parent and a parent to remember a child. It's an opportunity to bind wounds and bring generation closer to generation in light and in darkness. It's all of these and more, for it is our people's memory of the best that life has to offer. It's time in our prayers, our thoughts turn to those taken from our midst in this past week and month whose Shoshim we mark, friends and family of our community, Francine Bernstein, Richard Popper, Barbara Golds, Sandra Elliott, Suzanne Becker, Barbara Weinstein, Deborah Wexler, Herb Goodwin, Harvey Friedman, as well as the 195 soldiers of the IDF killed defending Israel and working to bring home the Israeli hostages, and still the over 1,200 Israeli family and friends whose lives are lost in the attack of October 7th that we still remember and commemorate. Linking their names to names as yortzites we mark on the Shabbat. Those anniversary of passing we lovingly commemorate. Mac Albert Bank, Eleanor Baer, Julius Beer, Betty Blair, Ruth Blevins, Howard Burlak, Saul Cash, Eli Castleman, Saul Seresny, Buddy Cohen, Jeanette Love Cohen, Lois Love Cohen, Joseph Coleman, Louis Effersey, Helen Eisen, Eleanor Ettlinger, Janet Feldman, Brian Foreman, Daniel Friedman, Marilyn Glovinsky, Lisa Goldstone, Joseph Hirsch, Louis Hirsch, Francis Holland, Martin E. Hollander, Pamela Horwitz, Erwin Kasoff, Fanny Keene, Jan Keeps, Erwin Lando, David Lasky, Anna Lazar, Annalisa Lisbarski, Judy Malamud, Morton Malone, Harry Miller, Clara Moray, Joshua H. Munter, Celia Must, Kenny Newman, Michael Nosenchuk, Max Orifici, Harriet Orenstein, Joan Partridge, Ada Polk, Hal Pollack, Esther Rabinowitz, Mildred Robinson, Sally Robinson, Robert Ross, Mikhail Rosenberg, Paula Salzman, Judith Sampson, Seymour Shapiro, Jesse Sheftel, Diane Silverstein, Nessie Sobel, Benjamin Sonnenschein, Sadie Tenenbaum, Matthew West, Margaret Westheimer, Etta Wilson, Seymour Yellen. And linking their names to all the names that we did not recite on this Shabbat, those of every faith and family, those whose lives have touched ours, as well as those who have no one to stand and say Kaddish for them. So do we join together in the immortal words of the mourner's Kaddish is found on page 46 of our prayer books. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra chirte bial mich malchute. B'chayachon uv'yomechon u'chayeh decho beit Yisrael. Barala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach elam amei amaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yinadar v'yinaleh v'yinalal. Shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Cha'ela minko birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Datnaram b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlomo Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. The source of peace to those who mourn, comfort to those who are bereaved, here and everywhere. And let us say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Shalom Imroma, Hu Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Good Shabbos.
Nice to be together. After a moment of Tish, we have a little oneg, I believe, tonight. Thank you, Joan Bussell. A couple months ago, Joan said, why can't we have a nice oneg and join together? You know, the idea of 6:30 services where we'd run out to dinner afterwards, or, you know, but that wasn't necessarily happening, and we missed that oneg, and we were only doing them at 7:30 services, and thanks to that recommendation, we'll have a little oneg when we have these 6:30 services. Now that I've announced that, let's hope it's set up and that's actually happening. For those online, it's a giant oneg out there you're missing. Some great things. I have 12 things to announce right now. 12, if we, you know, every Hebrew, every letter, every number has a Hebrew letter equivalent. So 12 would be B, is one way to make it, with a yud and a bet, a 10 and a 2. B, which is in me or within me. So, you know, for us, these are 12 things that are coming in our community, within us, right? These are the B of Shir Shalom. I made that up just now. So one is that due to how cold it is, our Tish tomorrow morning, our Torah study, is going to be only on Zoom. We'll only be on Zoom. We still have 10:30 services here in the sanctuary, but our Tish, that's usually 9 to 10:30 upstairs. If you haven't come to it, usually bagels and nosh and fun, hanging out, learning with Rabbi and me. It will only be on Zoom tomorrow. So Rabbi's not here because he's with the 4th and 5th graders on an overnight right now. Retreat. It's good to be young. So, you can't earn me. So, my L'chaim class is continuing. Its 3rd session is Monday. You can always jump into any of them. They all stand alone. But the cool thing is the 4th session is linked to Rabbi Mike Moskowitz. So, I'm going to jump ahead. Rabbi Mike Moskowitz will be our scholar in residence. He's with our community, the Jewish community of Metro Detroit, all next weekend. So on Thursday night, we have a special event with him with Federation for the LGBTQ community. And that's, if you're in that community, you can register and be a part of that as well with Rabbi Mike and me. On Friday and Saturday, he'll be at Sheretz Zedek. While we're having services here. So he's their scholar in residence. We're sharing with them, which is nice because he has a relationship with Rabbi Starr as well as me. And then on Sunday and Monday, he'll be at Temple Shir Shalom. So Monday night at 7 p.m. here in the sanctuary will be his program with us, open to the community. Please register. There'll be a nice oneg afterwards as well, though it won't be Shabbat, but it'll be great. And I'm excited for you all to meet him. For religious school parents, or those who want to come, he'll be with our religious school families on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock at the JCC, talking about pronouns and gender as well. So that's really a privilege. But he's going to, on Monday afternoon at 12 o'clock with my class, my L'chaim class, a Jewish way of life and doing, he's going to pick up the last session, and we're going to do a text study. And the text study will be geared towards why homophobia exists in Judaism and the text that it's been rooted in, and how we can reread those texts differently to show how we really can be living our lives in an open and accepting way. So I'm excited to have him as a teacher with us as well. This Monday, January 22nd, as well as game day at 1 o'clock. The semi-annual congregational meeting is on Tuesday here in the sanctuary at 7 o'clock. That congregational meeting is just a board meeting, but we're transparent. So if you want to come hear about Temple for a minute, you're welcome to drop in. No one ever comes. It's not exciting. But I'm telling you, it's there because we want people to ask questions if you have questions about Temple. Purim Spiel is happening in late March, and so the first meeting for that is Tuesday as well. So like 7:30 with Cantor on January 24th. Wednesday, Tea Talk and Torah. I'll be teaching at 2 o'clock, Tea Talk and Torah, the Torah portion of the week. A little study together there. Next Friday night is a special musical Shabbat with a band playing with Cantor and music and fun. And we call it Shabbat Shirah, Shabbat Shiraz. It'll be a wine-featured oneg. Of course, for those who don't like to drink, there's always other refreshments to have as well, but we'll have a lot of nice wines that night. And then I told you about our Scholar in Residence. Our chicken soup cook-off is February 3rd, right? 4th, here in the social hall. It should be great. Hopefully some of the new space we'll be able to use by then too. We don't have our occupancy permits yet. Very, very soon. The alarms, they are all setting those up today. So it's very soon. Chicken soup cook-off should be great. If you've never been a part of that, looking forward to that. You can still, you can. Yes. Not too late. Song, Sushi, and Sake Shabbat is in 3 weeks with our musician in residence, our artist in residence, Alan Goodis, here with Cantor, creating great music together. He'll be with us all weekend long. Nice oneg of sushi and sake that night as well. Curated some sakis. Again, non-alcoholic beverages for those who want. Maybe sushi, sake, and soju. We'll even add a little twist to it. So now that I drive a Korean car, I can say those things. So on Saturday night, he'll be leading us in a Havdalah with our Java Havdalah returning together, and a nice music evening on Saturday on the 10th of February. That was a lot, right? That's how dynamic your congregation is. It's all the good things that are happening here. Rabbi Mike Moskowitz, when he's here, it will be recorded on YouTube and be broadcast as well. That 7 o'clock Monday evening event. And now for your questions. Yes?
You mentioned that the Pharaoh's sorcerers were also able to imitate the plagues. How were they able to do that?
I don't know. I'm just a rabbi. I'm not a sorcerer. The question for those online was that the first 2 plagues Pharaoh's sorcerers could do, turning water into blood, seemingly. Well, they're magicians. How's David Copperfield do his tricks, right? They were able by sleight of hand to make a rod. And, when God first says to Moses, throw your rod down on the ground and it will turn to a serpent, and the sorcerers can do that too. So, snakes can be really stiff, I guess. I don't know. That was not a euphemism. Stop it. So the idea of, they don't explain how, except for that they're sleight of hand tricks and sorcerers and magicians, and that's why. So, and that's why the Israelites question too, because they say, hey, this isn't that special, is it? Right? But when we look back on it, we can see how it was. It's interesting. If you're like me and you read Torah all week long and commentaries, a lot of the commentaries this week are about punishment on a society because of its leaders' evil and misdeeds, right? Because were the Egyptians all guilty? And the plagues went on all of the Egyptians, including the last plague, the death of the firstborn. And as we look at Gaza today, and none of us want the death of all Palestinians, and we believe they're innocent Palestinians, but just as there are 130 Israeli hostages held, the people have been kidnapped by Hamas. But because Hamas uses humans as shields, should that stop Israel from trying to bring back its hostages, our own citizens, our own family? And that Palestinians are being killed, are losing their homes because of what their leaders have done, right? Now, one of the young hostages, Mia Schramm, who was a young girl who was released, 60 days ago. In an interview 2 weeks ago, my Israeli friends pointed this out to me. She said there are no innocent Palestinians, that she was held in a family's home, and the children would come to her as she was tied up and mock her and eat in front of her when she was given no food, 4 and 5-year-olds. Now, I'm not castigating all Palestinians, and I believe, I think there are innocent Palestinians. But that was her coming out of her experience and saying that. So we look at that and reflecting on the Torah portion, and we ask that same question. Look at the Egyptians. This is what God did, right? Is that appropriate? Is that And even to the extent that in the Torah it says God hardens Pharaoh's heart. That Pharaoh maybe would say, well, okay, you can leave, but every time now, as the last 3 plagues come, Moses goes to Pharaoh, and it says God hardens his heart, so he says no. That's a challenge too. I don't have the answer. I'm just sharing some questions. So, but it's relevant, right? Arthur? You talking about Netanyahu? Is that what you said? So Arthur's question was that with all the things that Netanyahu has said this week, you haven't been listening to the Hebrew, because he hasn't talking about the hostages in Hebrew. So, but he hasn't said anything about, he's talked about how we're going to win and him staying in power. Look, I'm going to say this from the pulpit. I don't trust Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, I believe that he wants Israel to be successful and safe. You know, he did, in his speech 3 weeks ago, say that in his reign, he has made Israel a safer place. Really? I believe he has blood on his hands, and he let his guard down and wasn't paying attention, and moving troops into the West Bank to protect what he thought was important, the ultra-Orthodox communities there, or the settler communities, and moving them away from the border with Gaza was a great mistake, and he will be found guilty of this. And I look, you know, the man has had many lives, but everything that I've read says that, you know, he won't be prime minister much longer. Now, some argue that's why he'd like the war to keep going on, because as long as there's war, he won't be deposed. The government won't dissolve. That's not guaranteed either, though. So, I think his days are numbered as the leader of the longest serving prime minister ever. I think in not just Israel, but in any democracy ever. So, yeah. Did you not know I wasn't a fan of his? I used to. But, you know, I thought so. He's a brilliant man. He is. And when I had a chance, 6 or 8 months ago, to meet Michael Oren. Michael Oren was the ambassador from Israel to the U.S. under Netanyahu. And he is a New Jersey boy who is a professor at Princeton, but after high school he made Aliyah, and he served in very elite combat units and intelligence, he was a member of the Knesset, served in Netanyahu's cabinet, so he knows Netanyahu. And he talked about, like, the man, he reads more than anyone he's ever met. And I think Michael Oren's a brilliant man, and he said, I am nothing in his wake, in a sense. Michael Oren's interviews right after the war started, but continuing on, by Barry Weiss, are some things worth listening to and reading. And, he sometimes is a little more right and conservative than I am, Michael Oren is, but I still think he's very aware of what Israel needs. So if you want to find good things to read, Michael Oren's writings, I'd also listen to the podcast from Yehuda Kurtzer or Daniel Hartman and Yossi Klein Halevi from the Hartman Institute. Those are all excellent too. They're all passionate Israelis who care deeply about Israel, but also are challenged by the realities of the world too. But Israelis aren't, Netanyahu this week said there won't be a Palestinian state. So the U.S. is all upset about that. The reality is Israelis aren't talking about a Palestinian state now. All Israelis are talking about today is getting the hostages home, saving their lives, and making sure that they are safe. If a missile can be fired from Gaza into Israel, Israel's not safe. If a missile can be fired from Lebanon into Israel, Israel's not safe. So as long as these threats continue, Israel's thinking about nothing else right now, and that's why Israel's amassing troops now. They've pulled reservists out of Gaza. They've brought them back up to the north. So I believe there will be us going into the north unless Hezbollah stands down. And I would say it's even necessary. Because how do you live when people can constantly shoot rockets at you? But Benny said, I don't know if he said it from the pulpit or to me, our friend Benny from Israel, he said, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, if Israel didn't invent Iron Dome, we would have been in Gaza a long time ago and ended this a long time ago. But because Iron Dome, my son's been in the bomb shelter how many times? Dozens of times. But it's not a fearful thing. It's just, one day he texted me, "Oh my God, the funniest thing, Dad." "What's that, son?" "Having hummus, my favorite hummus place, my buddies, sirens go off, and the synchronicity of everyone's chairs scooting out, everyone calmly walking to the bomb shelter. 5 minutes later, everyone comes back to their hummus, eating their hummus. 10 minutes later, sirens go off, all the screeching chair. He said, "It was so funny." I'm like, "That's not funny. People are shooting missiles at you and you have to go to a bomb shelter." But that's the Israeli perspective, because Iron Dome protects them and they know they're okay. If they didn't have that, Israel would have gone into Gaza much earlier, a decade ago, and ended this. Unfortunately, in this time period, we know what Hamas has done. And now we're paying the consequences for that. Okay, someone ask a question so we can go to a positive note so we don't leave depressed. Yes, Gary? That's good. I'll make that funny. Gary's comment, for those who didn't hear, is that he said to a friend who asked him to go out for dinner, he said, "Well, I'm going to services tonight. I'm going to pray." And he said, "What do you pray for?" And so what's the prayer, the simplest prayer we can say, to pray for peace? It's just what you just articulated. I mean, a prayer doesn't have to be in Hebrew, for me, right? I mean, we as Jews believe in vernacular, whatever languages. I mean, my favorite story from Hasidic Judaism is from the Baal Shem Tov, when a very, very poor man walks into synagogue on the holiest day on Yom Kippur, right, when the formal synagogue, is offering their penitential prayers, and he's mumbling the first letters of the alphabet, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, and he's disheveled in his clothes, and they stop services. They're like, "What are you doing, mumbling the alphabet?" And they say, "We have prayer books. Use the prayer books." He's like, "I can't read. I'm illiterate." But God knows my intentions. God will put the letters together to form my prayers. It doesn't have to be like the most grandiose paragraph of a prayer. It's just, I want peace. I want people to be treated well. I want the safety of Israel. I want these people who have been ripped from their homes to be able to come home and be hugged. I want this 1-year-old to not remember his first birthday ever, but to remember his second birthday and to have, thoughts of that. I mean, the simplest of things, I think, is what's genuine and sincere and what we all hope for as well. So, speaking of things we hope for, it's the sweetness in life too, right? And the opportunity. Like, what do you pray for? You pray because, we want to be a part of something, I think. And I don't know, did I share it from the pulpit or not?
But I like Noah Aronson. I almost sang this tonight instead. You can sing, "Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms."
That works. You can sing that.
You can sing that.
So,
anytime.
Yeah. Now I forgot what I was going to say before, but that was better.
You asked if you said something from the Bima.
I don't remember now, but that was better anyway, so it's good. Well, let's give thanks for the sweetness of... No, it wasn't actually. It was... I'll think of it in a moment. I'll think of it as I'm driving home.
You'll remember.
Well, please rise as we give thanks for the sweetness of this day and the joy of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Borei
Peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
Gary, I know what it was in the sense of our prayers in that context. There are times, I don't want to say that I have to be here, But it's part of my contract to lead us in prayer, to be at temple on Friday nights. And there are times when, I'm thinking, wow, if I could just sit home and relax and have a nice Shabbos dinner and just not have the stress of getting ready for services. But inevitably, every time I'm here, I feel something and a prayer touches me. Even when it's a bar mitzvah, there have been times on a Friday night, I'm like, oh, we have a bar mitzvah. It's a difficult student. It may not go, and you're stressed, and something happens. And I'm like, I'm glad I was here. And I think, it's not always knowing what the prayers you're going to say when you get here, but it's walking away feeling that something lifted me up and helped me in the midst of this hour together. So with that in mind, we ask God to bless us all. May God bless you. May God protect you. May God's light shine upon you and shine through you. God always be a part of who we are, giving us all of our blessings, most of all blessing us with shalom, with peace. Good Shabbos, everyone.